The moment the bullets tore through the window of the Beverly Hills home, the dazzling, dangerous career of Virginia Hill was effectively over. She was, in that instant, not the queen of the gangsters' malls, but merely a casualty of the blood-drenched business she had chosen, a woman whose singular ambition had carried her from the grinding poverty of Alabama to a mansion where her lover lay dead, all because she was the one trusted to carry the cash. Born Oni Virginia Hill in 1916, her beginnings were defined by the crushing scarcity of rural Alabama. She came from a family of 10 children, forced to leave school early to work grueling, dead-end jobs. But Virginia possessed an extraordinary, magnetic quality, a striking beauty coupled with a whip-smart, ruthless intelligence, which she understood was her only ticket out. By the mid-1930s, she made the decisive move, abandoning the dusty South for the booming, brutal heart of the American underworld, Chicago. Chicago was where she truly found her education. Starting small, she worked as a waitress, but soon recognized that her true value lay not in serving, but in socializing. She quickly integrated herself into the circles of mid-level racketeers and professional gamblers. She was never meek. She could hold her liquor, curse like a sailor when challenged, and maintain absolute discretion when the stakes were highest. Men were drawn to her confident, fiery spirit, but Virginia was meticulously calculating, using every relationship, from bookie to bootlegger, to advance her standing. She moved from being a kept woman to becoming a functional asset for the Chicago outfit. Virginia wasn't a mistress. She became a financial courier and a central clearinghouse for mob intelligence. She was tasked with transporting envelopes, stuffed with cash, hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time, across state lines, passing messages between lieutenants, and even settling disputes, all because she was a woman whose face was not yet known to the feds and whose loyalty was temporarily absolute. She was everywhere, seeing vast sums of their capital into his own private accounts, disguised as construction expenses. And who was the person tasked with carrying this crucial, damning evidence of betrayal? Virginia Hill. She became the trusted money mule, making multiple urgent flights across the Atlantic to deposit the skimmed millions into ultra-secure Swiss bank accounts. This fortress of secrecy, accessible only to her and Bugsy, was meant to secure their future wealth, but the action sealed Siegel's fate and painted a massive target on her back. Every flight, every bank deposit, was a betrayal of the men who financed them. When the Eastern bosses, fueled by suspicion and rage, finally decided Siegel had crossed the unpardonable line, Virginia was inextricably linked to the financial deception. The order was given to silence him. The tension became unbearable in June 1947. Virginia Hill left the Beverly Hills home she shared with Siegel and fled to Paris, allegedly after an infamous, furious row over Siegel's control. She was safely abroad, or perhaps deliberately sent abroad by the nervous syndicate when the reckoning came. The scene on the night of June 20th, 1947 was swift and absolute. Bugsy Siegel was sitting on a sofa in Virginia's living room, casually reading a newspaper. Outside, a car pulled up quietly to the curb. Suddenly, the silence was shattered by a terrifying burst of gunfire. Multiple rounds pierced the window glass in a blinding flash. One shot found its mark, striking Siegel with such savage force that his eye was literally blown out of its socket, landing several feet across the room. The gruesome, definitive violence of the hit sent an undeniable message. There are no second chances in the syndicate. Virginia, thousands of miles away, heard the news at a social gathering. The shock was immediate, but the comprehension even faster. The shield that Bugsy Siegel had provided was gone. She was now exposed. A woman who knew too much, held too many secrets, and possessed too much of the syndicate's money. The glamour of her life instantly dissolved into a grueling, terrifying paranoia. The relentless pursuit that followed did not come from other gangsters, but from the federal government. The IRS pursued her fiercely for hundreds of thousands of dollars in unpaid taxes, claiming the lavish gifts and cash she received were undeclared income. This legal and financial pressure was suffocating, forcing her to sell her beloved furs, jewels, and the very house where Siegel died to cover her soaring debts. The ultimate humiliation arrived in 1951 when she was subpoenaed to testify before the televised Kefauver Committee hearings on organized crime. The whole country tuned in to see the notorious Queen of the Gangsters' Malls. In the hearing room, Virginia, cornered and defiant, maintained her composure. Dressed impeccably and radiating contempt, she refused to give the senators the narrative they wanted. She famously denied any meaningful knowledge of the mob, answering questions with sharp, contemptuous silence or barbed evasions. She was publicly chastised for her insolence, but her act of defiance, while temporarily satisfying, only delayed the inevitable financial ruin. Driven to desperate measures, stripped of her wealth and unable to live quietly or legally in the United States, Virginia fled across the Atlantic. Her final years were spent wandering Europe, always pursued by the specter of the IRS and the mob's long, unforgiving memory. She lived in perpetual anxiety and financial instability, clinging to the memory of her former life in small towns. Her last residence was a modest apartment in Salzburg, Austria. On a cold night in March 1966, the fiery life of Virginia Hill ended alone in a snow-covered bank, the victim of a suspected overdose of sleeping pills. Her roller coaster existence, powered by dangerous ambition and fueled by illegal cash, ended far from the spotlight, a final tragic testament to the cost of knowing too much in the underworld. If you enjoyed this story of power, ambition, and the dangerous world Virginia Hill walked through, make sure to hit that like button. And if you love gripping true crime history, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. Thanks for watching.